astrology. And today I would like to do Spirit of Matter on the natal chart of Switzerland. And again, this must be maybe the second time I'm looking at this chart. I don't remember anything astrological about it. Um, so immediately I see here something that could be useful, but I'm just going to look at the chart, noting that this is a chart of a country, noting what I do know about Switzerland, and see what will be. Just a little note, I don't know if you noticed, I know that a lot of people been talking about that Mars station in retrograde and then Elon Musk finally buying Twitter. What I was paying attention to was actually not that he bought Twitter, but that he openly sexually harassed two employees that got fired with this eggplant and water emojis, like using emoji to sexually harass his employees. That was like his first move in his new company. And I decided to do something experimental. I said, okay, he talks about free speech. What happens if I block Elon Musk on Twitter? So I don't know what happened. Meanwhile, nothing happened. I didn't tag him. I didn't do anything. I just wrote about that and then I blocked him. I don't know. So if I'm no longer on Twitter in the near future, know that that has something to do with that. you know. So it was very strange to me that that was his way of showing presence. It's like to sexually harass the workers that you already fired. But I guess that's where he's heading with the platform. Let's see what happens because it is, social media, and let's see how will people use social media, or maybe we'll have new social media by the time Mars is direct again, which I guess will probably be the case. Anyhow, Switzerland. So we got the ascendant in Cancer. Let's see where the moon is. The moon is in the ninth. Is it the ninth? What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it's 12, 11, 10, 9. Yes, it is the ninth. Next to Neptune. So the moon in Pisces, the ruler of the ascendant in Pisces, the ascendant is in Cancer, and the midheaven in the ninth house next to Saturn. This is interesting because I was doing a Saturn in Pisces videos. I wonder if I'll see anything coming up. Um, First of all, Cancer, what is known for is hospitality sometimes and being caregiver. And yes, indeed, it is a great touristic attraction. The ruler in the ninth tells me that this nation will have a lot to do with either religious stuff that I don't know exactly what the religion is, um, but philosophical stuff, but also um, it can be that the nation will be inspiring. That is not necessarily true to Switzerland, although it is. Oh, this is lovely. Okay, but also it might play a role as a place where people come to, or that Swiss people will journey to some other lands. So the this country's personal path is basically very much involved with theosophy, religion, academia, but also other nations, traveling. So in Switzerland's case, I think it's more like Switzerland itself is a tourist destination, which is interesting. The fourth house is in Libra here, with Venus and Mars conjunct. Now, Mars is not exactly happy in Libra. It's not his best place to be, because remember, he's ruling Aries, and then the sign opposition to the sign of rulership is a sign of detriment or fall. Um, but what's interesting is the fourth house is the people, and indeed, with Libra, we have people who do things that are balancing things. And Switzerland is known for its banking system. It's balancing basically the wealth of other nations, and we have the Taurus here in the 11th, the ruler of the 11th in the 4th. So in this case, the wealth of other nations in its how in its home home finances. Um, but okay, this can be a couple of things because basically the planet closest to the midheaven is Saturn, and Switzerland, even though it's very tidy up and orderly and incredibly beautiful, it's an incredibly beautiful country. Um, it's known for its mountains, the Alpines, Saturn. Sometimes the lakes, but I think, I don't know. Do people outside of Europe know Switzerland for its beautiful lakes? Let me know in the comments below because I don't know. Um, and another thing Switzerland is known for, of course, is um, the suicide rates and the thoughts of suicide and its policy towards suicide. It's very pragmatic, dealing with suicide, and it's also a touristic attraction for people who wish to die, to end life. And Saturn is indeed where life is ending. And we also see something interesting in the 10th house, because the 10th house is also what we're known for, um, in terms of our status and career. And this is in Aries. Aries is usually innovative, is the first in something. But where is Mars in Libra? This is a very interesting position to be at. It's the first in doing no competition. But this can be also the first to which there is no competition, which is the ultimate Aries. And for and mm, I wonder what gold is associated with as natural resources, because whenever people invest in gold, they usually keep it in Switzerland, but I think it's mostly to do with the safe. They have Pluto in Aries and Uranus in Aries. Not really conjuncting, but not too far from conjuncting either, which is interesting. Like, it's not something I would necessarily expect. Um, what is true is that in Switzerland there is a technology that helps people die a humane death. And it is breakthrough technology and breakthrough um, policies in basically people being able to choose their death and to have a technology that allows them to die peacefully in front of, you know, nature or wherever they choose. And I think about Pluto Uranus as that, you know, technology to do with more humane death. So let's see, when was Switzerland founded? Because it was in 1848. It was founded in 1848. I might do a bit more research there. Sun in Virgo, Ascendant Cancer, Midheaven Pisces, and the Moon in Pisces. What else can I say about this land? So, the second house here is Leo, and but the Sun, the ruler, is in the third house. For a natal chart, it's siblings. I guess this would be neighboring countries. Um, and the Sun opposition Saturn. I don't know how to interpret that in a chart of a nation. It's the first time I'm doing this. I didn't prepare. And that's what I do here in Spirit of Matter. I don't prepare for my videos. So you can see an actual process of thought. Sun in conjuncts here Uranus. That makes more sense because the fate of neighboring countries to Switzerland was had to do with a lot of upheaval. Talk about Italy, Germany, of course, um, France, and Australia, Austria. I used to confuse them. Austria. So the neighboring countries had a sort of upheaval, but it seemed that Switzerland kept its balance. This is why, when we had the Second World War, Switzerland kept a lot of the money of people that died, including, very known minorities like the Jewish people and everybody that died and had money in the banks in Switzerland, because that was the safest to keep your money. It still is today. People are still looking for the Swiss fiscal system to acknowledge them, to allow them to open a bank account in Switzerland. Um, it's not so. People say it's a tax haven. I don't know if it is a tax haven. I just don't know. Mercury here is at home in Virgo. And Mercury also deals with business. In this case, it's the business of neighboring countries. So Switzerland mainly manages the wealth of other nations. Oopsie. Um, Both from its being a caregiver, care and control, and it's basically its financial strength is the one leading to having no competition. Maybe if people know Decanic, like the deacons, and what are they known for, they could tell me about the first deacon of Libra. That could give more in-depth knowledge. So if you know about deacons, you can add to that. But it's basically the strength here is not even diplomacy. In this case, it's finances, and having good management of finances and the wealth of other nations in a way that it is not so necessary to get into combat. Not only that, people come to Switzerland. It's sort of like there is a very evolved view of death that I think kind of makes it contributes to Switzerland's being. Um, If you think about other countries, what other countries view of death is that people, you either have these, in places like China or I think also Japan, but mainly China that we know of, that you have factories and children are working there, and they keep the windows closed with nets so that the children cannot jump to their death. So they're trying to keep people from killing themselves. And the view of Switzerland about that is actually optimistic. It's actually allowing people the choice to die, those within the Swiss. Yes, I'm not saying they don't have weird business other places, but the citizens have the choice to die gracefully and to die peacefully, and the wealth and technology to do so. And I get it seems sort of like a spiritual, because you see Saturn here is in a very spiritual place. It's in Pisces next to the midheaven. It's retrograde, so there is reflective over death, reflection over the end of life, and there are the technologies that assist that, and it's becoming a touristic attraction, and so they make money out of people willingly coming to die in a respectful way rather than having different fates in different countries. And that keeps Switzerland the country that many countries would like to preserve. today. Um, I wonder about its longevity because it doesn't seem to have to contend with what most countries need to contend with. But then they have Pluto and Uranus almost conjuncting in the 10th house. And the 10th house is also how, in the natal chart, is how we are known to the world. It's also the regime in a country. But on the international level, I tend to believe it is also how a country is known to the world, both the midheaven and amongst other nations. Amongst other nations, as peers, that would be more Taurus. Um, but in the international sphere, who wants to mess with the country that has a very elegant way to put people, to allure people to death, basically? I think about Saturn in Pisces as alluring people to die. It's very peaceful, it's very lovely, it's very attractive. And those who desire peace um, might be alert to that. Most likely, any country that would send, let's say, an army or an attack on this country, and this country will say, with us, you could be able to grow peacefully, to die peacefully, join our banking system. This is something that can make it very difficult to create genuine animosity or armed animosity. They're very strong in the technology of death in a quick and elegant way, both because of Uranus and Aries. Aries is explosive power, it's not. And Saturn in Pisces is reflective, it's the worldview, it's awareness of the end of things, of what happened after you reach the pinnacle of life, a sort of a retirement place to be. Um, and with the moon in Pisces, then the moods can be. This, for example, is the noting of a country that could allow assisted suicide for people for actually emotional reasons, not only but we do know that a lot of cancer patients come to die in Switzerland. Um, where's Capricorn? Capricorn is in the seventh because it's known for its mountains, the Alpines, its chocolate, its clocks, time. So that is interesting because Switzerland is known for creating, technology of time, technology of death, technology of those things. But I don't actually see what ties those technologies to. I mean, yes, both Uranus is definitely suicide, and Pluto is death, so it's not only Saturn. Um, but then, because Switzerland is also known for creating the technology of measuring time, clocks, Swiss clocks. So I'm trying to see where, I mean, yes, this would be the technology stuff, but I want to see a relation between time, Saturn, and technology. I only see, an opposition to a very well aspected Mercury in the third in Virgo. That would be cars, that would be what you do daily, but yes, that could be clocks. But that would actually tell me that these clocks are not as accurate as they make them to be. There's more like an illusion. Do you own Swiss clocks? Do you know if they are genuinely as good as they say they are? Because if they are, I would expect to see that. This is the gross product of the country. And beauty, elegance, absolutely. The landscape being beautiful, the landscape being elegant, people doing, a lot of bankers, insurance, fiscal system. So the profession of the people is usually so, and I think Swiss women are considered beautiful, so that would probably be the Venus in Libra in the fourth. Um, and it's true, many of the people do work in the banking system, in insurance system, in Libra professions. um, the people who are responsible of your balance, and this is fiscal not in a Taurus way necessarily, but as the people who are responsible for other people's balance. Okay, fiscal balance. So banking. And they also keep gold. So I don't know why gold. um, I mean, it's probably the second, but it's not like Switzerland has gold. It's more that it preserves gold. It's not necessarily that it has that it's its own wealth. uh, it's just that it preserves wealth. Mm. Jupiter in the second makes the wealth of a nation, but also the skill increased. I would expect performance, I would expect acting, I would expect drama, but Switzerland is none of that. I mean, it is a beautiful land, but it's not like we heard about, even if we do know Swiss actors or Swiss performers, we probably don't know that they're Swiss. Correct me if I'm wrong. So here it's probably gold. It's probably gold, and the increase of gold as a natural resource, and that wealth of a nation, due to that natural resource. Um, mm, mm, mm. So Neptune here in Pisces, 0 degree, 0 degree Pisces. Okay, at home. Jupiter is not doing bad either. The Saturn in the ninth probably gives us the well-known, suicide rates. Along with the Moon in Pisces. Moon in Pisces needs a lot of support, um, to be. There can be a lot of suicide ideation because it delves into the depths of emotions, both the highs and the lows. Um, and the Moon is afflicted here by Mars. Um, And Saturn is more like the malefic out of sect, is the more problematic, so suicide in this case. Um, mm, mm. Anything more? Well, it is a place of luxury, again, Venus at home. But note that Venus is not so well aspected. Okay, she's oppositioned by Saturn. She conjunct Mars. She is in conjuncting the Moon. So it's more like beautiful but sad, beautiful but suicidal. Um, and she in conjuncts Pluto. So it seems like that it can be a Venus gone crooked. So that can be about the banking system, um, and the people, or the fate of the people. Um, there's something about this beauty that is not what meets the eye, basically. You see something very beautiful, very peace, very serene, but there's something inside that deals with a lot emotionally, energetically, in terms of action, frustration, um, the deep shadow of things. So it might not be it seems very beautiful, but it might not be as easy to live in such a place unless, depending on your chart, but it might not necessarily be an easy country to live in. It can be like the rich daughter of a banker that, her father wants her to marry this man that she's not into, and she's very depressed, so she wants to kill herself. And then, okay, she can do so with very, magnificent technology that allows her to choose her death, but she has to wait until she's 70 or something like that. It's something very eerie about the atmosphere of Venus there. Um, And of course, Saturn in the night can also mean the country is isolated. Saturn next to the midheaven definitely means the country is isolated, and there are boundaries between this country and the rest of the world. In this case, it serves the country in a way because it is the bank of the world, literally. And so it is very isolated. It is very protected. Um, because again, yeah, it's very protected, but it has its kind of dark side. Kind of inviting Saturn. It's like when you invite Saturn in, and you get into the void, but you're also depressed and you see death itself. So it's longevity of facing death in a certain way, but more on the emotional, psychological level. Um, Anything more I have to say about what's going on here? Business, trade, yes. Mercury is in conjuncting Pluto. It is opposition in Saturn. It's in conjuncting the Moon. I don't believe the business and trade there are so clean. Um, there's just something that's inconvenient. It's inconvenient to do trade there. Very strange because a lot of people are attracted to doing trade in Switzerland. But there's just something inconvenient about it. It's not in correlations um, with with power. It's not in correlation with boundaries and structures, and it's not in correlations with emotional nature, psychological nature of people. So you probably need to be very stoic, and you probably even stoic won't help you because stoic is like Saturn like, um, and there's just something that makes trade there very weird, not operating to any, it's the rebel in, well, it's not exactly the rebel, but it's like it's outside of the regular politics. It's outside of the regular structures. It has a structure of its own, and it's outside of people's psychological needs. Trade is a lot about connections with people. It's Mercury, right? It adapts itself to whatever. Think about Mercury has to adapt itself to whatever to do trade. It's like, what do my clients want to hear? What do I have to give, and how do I frame what I have to give in a way that my clients want to hear? And I frame it as something that they need or that they actually need it, and I frame it as something that is very good in relation to what it's like. It has to answer a certain psychological need. Um, it has to provide a certain structure, a framework, and it has to understand its position in terms of power. What am I applying to? Am I applying to, oh, the government doesn't want you to know this, blah, blah, blah? Or am I applying to, oh, those rich people are, they want your money, but look at what they do? Or am I applying to, I don't know, tradition. It's like you apply to something in marketing, and Mercury needs something to adapt to, but it doesn't have any. And so trade here is very weird. I don't know a lot about the trade here. It's like everyone is are bankers, but trade is so weird because it has different regulations, different power positions. It does deal with great power, but differently. And it doesn't really apply to any psychological rules in a way, or it's disturbed by psychological rules in a way. Um, Even though Mercury is at home, it's in Virgo. Virgo is paying attention to the little details. It's also caregiving. It's also land. Um, so that is interesting. I just find it interesting. But the pro about it is that people who apply to regular rule structures and psychological stuff might not find themselves in 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 Switzerland, because they would think it would look attractive to invest there, it would look attractive to move your business there, but then there are things that you don't know that you don't know, because it also rules the 12th house. There are things that you don't know that you don't know. This is actually kind of cute when I have to mention it. It's kind of cute. Even think about what I come of, half of my family is Jewish descent, and Jews basically don't like Switzerland, although a lot of them still have bank accounts in Switzerland because it kept the wealth and the gold of the people during the Second World War. And it kept the money. It didn't give those who survived. It didn't provide for the people who survived. It's like, no, they keep the money. um, but then some, not all, some of the Jewish people who lived in Europe were themselves bankers. So I guess they were attracted, just like today, they were attracted to put their money in Switzerland. But there was something that they didn't know about this supposedly safe banking system. It's safe because I was looking safe. Everybody, where do you keep gold? In safe. I was like, what's safe here? What is safe here? You got Uranus next to Pluto, so you can't rely on hiding something. You got Saturn retrograde in Pisces. You can't get more fluid than that. And no, Saturn does not make something fluid safe, or to make something give structure. No, Saturn is retrograde here. It's operating weird. Um, and I was like, but what is safe here? And I guess what's safe here is actually that it doesn't apply to it. It's it's like somebody who tells you, let's go, do business there. They don't have the tax systems that we do. They don't have the problems that our banks have. They don't have, they don't have to make it like you have to market in a way that applies to people's emotions and psychological stuff, and it's so annoying because it ruins your soul and so on. They don't have that. And you go there and you see this beautiful land with great chocolate, with great chocolate, Jupiter sweet things in the second. So great chocolate with the mountains, the Toblerone. Rumors of great clocks. I don't know if the clocks are all that great. I think it's an illusion. I mean, that would be very interesting because it should be an illusion that the clocks are so good. It's not a country where time operates so well. It's not supposed to be. Um, but there can be an illusion. There may be very beautiful clocks, so people think it's a Swiss clock. It works like there's a fantasy that it works well, but I guess it's not so. I assume it is not so. Um, or maybe due to crystal technology, because crystals also take care of time, and we have technologies here that are very powerful, powerful technology, Pluto and Uranus, and Saturn time, and Saturn also rule crystals. So crystals can make time. So it can be actually, maybe they used crystals to make their clocks, and that made it very efficient. I don't know if the technology is efficient. This is something you do need to know, because this technology deals with life and death, but it could be. Anyhow, no one has survived to tell. Um, but then, you get into this country, and there are things you didn't know that you didn't know. Because the trade here, Mercury is also ruling the 12th. And whenever I see the 12th related to wealth or trade or something, I think naturally, well, first of all, it's hospitality, it's hotels, it's all those things, yes. Because it is the 12th, and 12 also rules hotels, bedrooms, secret pleasures, those things that are of isolation, so retreats, um, also jails. So you could have a hotel that looks like a jail, or a jail that looks very beautiful, or I don't know, there's just something about it. I mean, to say human trafficking is a cliche because it exists in every country. So every country has that. But even if it is that case, I would expect even human trafficking to look weird, to not apply to how it usually works in countries. There's just something unique about it that Mercury has to adapt to something, but it doesn't have anything to adapt. It has a Mars in 0 degrees Libra to adapt to, and that's obviously not, you know, the best playmate. And all the other planets are like in bad aspects to it, so it makes Mercury's job very difficult. Um, but it is at home. So it's a bit of it can be a crooked Mercury, but because Mercury in itself, the part of the facets of Mercury is that it's crookeding itself, it's crooked with the crooked and pure with the pure, then it's kind of making crooked Mercury's ability to be crooked with the crooked, which is fascinating. So you could get a lot of unexpected results. And I guess finances and trading in Switzerland is fantastically speculative, and a lot more speculative than we'd suppose. And that's what makes it probably stable. Um, Although people do believe that they play safe, that everybody plays safe, that it's not a high tech, it's not, I'm sorry, it's not a startup nation, like Israel or something. Um, Anything else we know about Switzerland? Yeah, I was expecting to see, some very elegant time, like Saturn being well played, but how can Saturn be well placed if everybody's suicidal? Um, yeah. So I wouldn't expect clocks to work that well either. I wouldn't expect that. But then I would not I would also predict that the sacral thing is that they have um, might also, you know, I don't know, you know, it might not be a reliable technology as we it would expect it to be. Um, so Lilith here at 0 degrees Scorpio in the fifth house. That's probably a part of, Europe's open nature about sexuality or whatnot. Um, Very interesting. I'm surprised about the trade. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised about the banking system. I am surprised about the way Saturn works there, but then I'm not surprised either. Um, and the ruler of the tent is in the fort. Basically, this nation is either known for its people or for the land, and I think the landscape is something that is very um, it's something that is very like a signature of Switzerland. It's the mountains and the beauty of the villages, and of course a lot of touristic attractions and so on and so forth. Um, if there's anything I missed here, do let me know. I think the movie. Oh gosh, I have her name, not her name. I have her face. Like the movie with the children. There was this woman who was sent to be like an au pair for the children. The Sound of Music or something like that. I think it was filmed in Switzerland. Yeah, but I think it wasn't even well known that it was that was where it was filmed. Anyhow, this is Switzerland. I wanted to check the date itself because this is an date. I'm thinking Pluto and Uranus, and this is 1848. So let's just check 1848. Let's see what happened in 1848. Revolution of 1848. Okay, springtime of the peoples, springtime of the nations, political upheavals, Uranus and Pluto. Let's see. Springtime of the nations. Okay. So that was the springtime of the nations. And an age of revolution. So it was founded during an age of revolution. This is the chart that we have. And the outcomes: political change, social and cultural change. Let's see. Sequences of the main threads, astonishing success. I'm looking for there's probably technology stuff there. Austrian Empire, compromise 67, and the rise of nationalism in Europe. And Swiss is one of those countries where you have people speaking German, Italian, and French, but that is common to Europe. You also have that in Belgium. You also have that, I think, in Luxembourg as well. Um, yeah. Wonder if there is anything about. Okay, now it said the revolution, but I want the year. No, I'm back. I'm back here. So in Bern, September 12th. That's nice. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, this is the same aspects. Yeah. Um, so that's nice. I discovered something that I wasn't expecting, but I should have seen coming with Saturn. Um, yes. Let me know if I missed anything about Switzerland. Let me know if you noticed something in this chart that I didn't talk about. Let me know in the comments below. Okay. Oh, see the sixth house here is Sagittarius, the ruler in the second. Okay. Still doesn't tell me, and most people are like bankers or something. Um, Philosophers. Do we have famous philosophers from Switzerland whose job was philosophy? No, it's more like the wealth. I don't know. So let me know. Let me know in the comments below. Saturn here is also ruling the eighth house. Some people will say eighth house debt, debt. I think debt is a lot more than debt, but it's debt because of debt. So if you have good policies with debt, you don't have debt as a result of debt. But then if people get into debt, that they can kill themselves, and that's wonderful because the country keeps the money. And I guess that's something that happened. There I am saying it in the last moment of the video. So that was Spirit of Matter Switzerland, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye bye.